Hey babes, welcome to the podcast.
It's Emily
And Abigail.
and on today's episode we are going to be talking about heartbreaks and breakups, this super fun topic that everyone just absolutely loves to talk about.
No, not at all.
No
one likes it.
No.
It's quite uncomfortable.
It was sarcasm, okay?
But first off, we're gonna go into a little weekly recap.
You first, friend.
Okay, so this weekend I went to a conference and it was so much fun. I learned a lot of amazing stuff. I got to spend some time with some of my close friends. But most importantly, I ran into some of y'all. Shout out to Hannah and shout out to Mia for coming up to me. Y'all are so encouraging. They're like, hey, are you Abigail? I know you from the podcast. I'm like, no way, you know me from the podcast. Thanks so much for listening. Like, you guys are so supportive. And it was just kind of took me back. It was a reminder like, okay, the work is paying off. We're doing good. Like, people are listening and they're learning and they're being attentive. And I'm just so grateful for you guys for that reason. Every single one of you. And we want to be your friends. Like, seriously, Hannah and I were like, okay, next time I'm in Jacksonville,
We're besties
let's get
now.
coffee. Like,
We're besties now.
We're besties. The babes.
The babes. For me, this past week has got me DEAD. Dead.
Retweet.
I'm dead, y'all. Work, school, studying. I'm dead. There's not enough hours in the day.
It's so true. Not to mention, I was in New York City.
Oh my gosh.
In DC and all of that fun stuff.
And then I came and picked you. Listen, it has been
It's been
the
a long 2 weeks.
It feels like a month in 2 weeks. Anyways, it's been a good past couple weeks though for us. I feel like we both have just been given some really cool opportunities and
very eventful.
We're just very, very eventful.
Like, she picked me up from the airport and everything, and she saw me. She said, Abigail, you are dead. You are tired. I was like, I came straight back to her house. I fell asleep.
She literally, I was like, never mind. We're not doing half the stuff we were going to do. All right, cool. It's all right. It's cool because I slept too. And it was great.
Sleep is great.
Sleep is wonderful.
It is not for the weak.
No.
It is for the strong.
Okay. Dude, I cannot, like, I'm turning into an old lady. I'm going to bed as early as I possibly can. I'm like, 8 p.m. lights out. I'm tired. Except for I don't get off work till way later.
Like midnight.
Way
sometimes.
later. So it's fine. It's so much fun though. But today's episode, we are really going to break down just a couple of, not a couple, I guess more than a couple, but some questions on like what to do in a breakup, how to approach a breakup, and just the steps to take even after a breakup. Because I feel that after a breakup is kind of a very important shaping time period for both of individuals that are a part of it. So Abigail, do you want to just kick us off?
Yeah. So first off, we're gonna kind of go in a domino effect, I guess. Like, we're gonna start somewhere and work our way down.
Yeah.
And just how each one is gonna lead into the next. But first off, we're gonna talk about like knowing when to break up with someone. For me personally, my end goal with dating someone is always marriage. So
That's the same thing with me.
I mean,
yeah.
But it is inevitable. Like, there are gonna be some people that you think that are gonna be marriage material, and then you get in a relationship with them, and that's when you really find out, oh wait, yeah, no.
I feel like too with that, you don't necessarily fully let me rephrase. You aren't fully able to really know someone until after, I would say, a couple months of dating or even a couple weeks after dating. Like, you really start to see like, oh no, you're not just putting your best foot forward. Okay, like let's see like what you really are like.
Yeah.
And I feel like that beginning stage of dating is always like the most influential in whether you decide like, oh no, this is gonna be the person, or maybe I need to really evaluate some things.
Yeah. So knowing when to break up, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a saint. I have failed in this area. I will say that clear as day. I have failed in this area because unfortunately in my past I was very keen to like grabbing on to someone and making that such a priority in my life that letting go is very hard. They became an idol, and they we're in a place that we're not supposed to be, and because of that,
Like, whole life revolved around them.
Yeah. You know, the thought of breaking up with my ex-boyfriend when I was with him was terrifying. I was like, what am I gonna do if he's not in my life? And now, like, I'm fine.
And now you're like, I'm okay.
I'm like,
I'm living.
That was actually good. So it can be sticky when you're in this situation, but it's important to know red flags and recognize them, so then you can prepare yourself for a breakup if you need to do it. And when you feel that gut feeling, do it. Because I kid you not, don't wait. For instance, I'm friends with my ex-boyfriend now. Like, this isn't bashing on him or anything. This is just what happened. We went on a break, and I feel that a break should just be a breakup. If you have to go on a break, just end it.
Break is just the first part of breakup.
Yes. So then we got back together, and then we broke up. And when right. But I knew where we were leading. I knew I was going to college. I knew these different things were going to take place, and I knew that would have been the wise decision. But unfortunately, I was very scared and very attached to the relationship more so than the person. It was because I was like a comfort space, a security space is what he was. And if I had taken the precautions sooner and recognized where I was actually going and how the relationship was not benefiting me, then I would have broken up with him earlier. But I was just so unaware because I was blinded by the false love.
That's a very good point that you make, is like blinded by like the false love, blinded by the expectation and the fantasy that you could create of, oh, well, if this thing's changed, these change, like, it'll work out. I feel like it's very important when you start dating someone and you start to pick up on like little certain things or whatever, just in general, just like overall things. Like, again, me and you are very similar. Like, we date to marry. Like, I'm not just gonna go date someone just for the heck of it. I personally just can't. I've tried. It doesn't. I can't do it. I can't do it. Yeah. I can't do it. It's just not me. But I think with that though, there does come with people who approach it the same way, there comes an extra element of when you're starting to date someone of like really evaluating everything. And I feel like when you first start dating someone and you start to kind of, again, pick up on those little things and you really start to evaluate and you really start to take those precautions, like you were saying, and stuff like that, it's better to do it earlier than later. And it's really difficult. And I want to tell everybody this, like, it is really, really difficult, especially when you genuinely like someone and you're just like, wow, this just right now where I'm at, where the other person's at, this individual and me, like, we're not really helping each other, like, grow, or I can't give what they want to give and they can't give what I need, you know, and things of that. Recognizing that those things aren't just things that you can just walk through. Yeah. It ends up becoming a bigger issue.
It does.
And I think with that though, you don't need to feel how do I want to word this? Nice. You don't need to like feel bad about doing it earlier rather than later. I feel like as soon as you know that's the right time to do it.
I think so too.
Because I have seen where people have kind of like what you were saying, like you did, like you just you were secure in it, so you just made it last as long as possible,
even though I knew it was inevitable.
Even though you knew it was inevitable. And you know, I actually have like a question with that, because personally, I've never been the person to drag it out. I'm probably really cut and dry with it, just because I'm like, no, I realize this, okay, I can't do that. Did that affect like your like post breakup? Like, was it more hurtful because you knew, like, you dragged it out like longer, or was it kind of like, oh, I'm trying to navigate this because like I still like you, like explain to me like how that was for you, because mine is a little different.
Yeah, so I'm very much a giving person. I give and give and give and give and give. And the relationship I was in, it was a majority of me giving. And because of that, I was like, it's okay. He's going to stay. We're all good. Everything's great. But I noticed about 2 to 3 months prior to us breaking up, emotionally, he had checked out. And as soon as I realized that, I started to emotionally check out. And I was like, okay, I think this is kind of inevitable. I know where we're going, and I know this is probably not going to last. But, I mean, I didn't want to be the one to do it, and I didn't want to experience that pain.
That's the biggest thing. No one ever wants to be the person to break up with someone.
honestly, like, it led to a lot of trauma, like a lot of pain happened from it. There was some things that I'm not going to speak about on the podcast that happened, but it was just not
It's
healthy.
just like one thing after another.
It was not
happening.
it was not a healthy ending whatsoever. And I mean, it took a lot for me to be able to forgive everything that happened, and it took a lot for me to like move on from that situation. But honestly, because emotionally I had checked out probably 3 months prior and he had too, when we broke up, I was just kind of already like, all right, that's it. And I knew at that moment, especially with me moving to college, I was like, okay, I'm not going back. Like, this is it. We're done. It's over. Like, I can't go back. I can't put myself in that situation, especially when I'm going to live 2 hours away. Like, I can't do that to myself. And it's just not, it's not likely, and it's not going to work. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is your pain's going to hurt either way, whether you break up with them earlier or later. Later, honestly, it just leaves more room for that person to become even more distant, and honestly, it could damage the potential for a friendship in the future because they're waiting to get out, you're waiting to get out, so ultimately you end up hurting each other by drifting away, which
I
you
feel like
didn't.
that also adds room for like more drama to kind of take place, especially if someone like does check out or something.
Exactly.
I think like for me,
more fights and just not healthy.
More disagreements. It's like why are you gonna try to make that happen even when you know it's not
right?
And I feel like for me, I'm always the opposite. I'm always like, as soon as I recognize something, or as soon as I recognize that the other person recognizes something, I kind of like to sit down. I'm like, okay, be honest. Where's your head at? Okay, here's mine. And sometimes there were a couple times where I realized that they were feeling something, and I was like, okay, hey, like whether or not I like it, I would rather us not waste each other's time, because at the end of the day, like, we're in a relationship with each other, and if you're not happy and you're not content, like, and you're not really in a place where you feel like things can turn around or change or progress, then let's go ahead and just break it off and just call it good. Hands up. Okay, we both are imperfect people. Okay, walk away. I had that happen a couple times. And then also, like, there's a couple times where, I even realized I dragged one out, and then one was kind of sooner. And I was like, okay, the dragged out one, I really wish I didn't drag it out, because I definitely, it left that door open for drama. It left that door open for drama. And I was like, I'm never doing that again.
And I think with dragging out, it's very easy, especially for girls, to believe the best in the guy to change.
Yeah, and then it just becomes a false lie and expectation.
And you can't change them. And I think it comes down to, where do your priorities lie?
Mm-hmm.
And I've had to check myself. I know going into a relationship in the future, I'm going to have to make it clear to say that my life is completely separate from his until I am married to him. Yeah. Because I am independent. Just because we are dating does not mean there is a ring on it. Does not mean that there's a covenant between us.
Therefore, preach.
You do not
That's
have
so good.
like the authority to tell me what to do, where to go, all these different things. Yes, I'm going to respect your opinion because you're my boyfriend, but I also know the difference between dating and marriage, and that, for myself, I have to set those boundaries so I don't get attached nearly as easily, nearly as quickly, and become codependent on them.
Well, and I think especially exactly what you were going to say, I was just about to go into that a little bit, is when you become so dependent on someone because you're in a relationship with them, it makes the breakup 20 times harder than when it is when you know where your priorities lie separately.
Because it feels like you're losing someone, like grief. Yeah. Versus, actually, I'm only whatever age you are. Because high school, when you break up with somebody, oftentimes is when you end up going to college. You're only 17 or 18.
You got the rest of your life.
You got the rest of your life.
You got the rest of your life, fam.
My mom always told me, your small town sweetheart most likely won't last. I mean, if it does, praise God, great, so happy for you, but also, like, majority don't work. I graduated with 220 students in my class. Like, realistically, I'm going to college where there's 67,000 students. Like,
there's just not gonna happen.
So yeah, there's that. Next question.
And I think the next one is, well, it's kind of what we were going into, is like, how do you approach a breakup respectfully for you and for the other person? Like, how can you approach someone with a breakup, which isn't easy, right? It's not easy for the person delivering the message, not easy for the person receiving the message. Mm-hmm. It's just not. It's not fun. I know from personal experience, from being on both ends of it, it's not. There's no telling you that it is. There's no
easy way to navigate it.
It's not, because if you're the person delivering it, you don't want to hurt the other person
because you care about them, bottom line.
Because you care about them, and because you're like, listen, like, I still care about you as a person, as an individual, as a friend, all of these things. But right now in this time where we're supposed to be significant others, working together, growing together like that, right now I can't do that. Right now I see that we're not compatible in this way, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
That is not an easy message to deliver, especially when someone else doesn't see it the way you do. And at the same time, though, you as the deliverer, or you as the receiver, have to try to put yourself, I know it's very hard, but try to put yourself in the other person's shoes of, okay, I know that they're breaking up with me right now. I have all these emotions. I'm really upset right now. But okay, let me try to understand where they're coming from so I can give a clear response back. And I think with that, your approach is so, for both parties involved, is so incredibly important. Mm-hmm. I think if you're the person, initiating it, you need to come at it and be like, hey, listen, like, put your heart out there. It's really uncomfortable, without a doubt, because it's like, listen, like I said, yes, like I'm in this relationship with you, but now I can't, and whatever those reasons may be, they may vary, whatever, depending upon the person you're dating, right? And then also from the receiving side, understanding that it's not the end of the world. And I think that, especially with our culture, and I'm going to say probably maybe more so towards girls, maybe some guys as well, but a breakup can destroy someone. And I think
that's so true, like, with the culture. I mean, look at the music we have.
It's so sad too. Yeah. Because we have two conflicting, I feel like, major trends, I guess you could say. Yeah. It's the heartbroken and the ones that are like, I'm independent, I don't need nobody, like, I don't need no friends, I don't need any of that. There is no, like, in between. Mm-hmm. And I think when you're in a breakup, you need to be very careful to balance the two. Right. Because it's not the end of the world. Nope. You're young. Even if you're older, you still have so many other people in the world, like, you can look forward to getting to know. And then at the same time, like, don't completely shut yourself off, because there's so many more people in the whole entire world.
And it's about your perspective.
Exactly.
More than anything.
Exactly.
And I think for myself, as far as approaching a breakup, I've been on both sides. I've been the receiver and the deliverer. And then I've also been in one where it was like mutual. And I think nobody wants to have that conversation. It's hard. Like, let's be honest. It's a very hard conversation, because when you care about someone, it's so easy to shut down and be like, oh my gosh, they're not going to be in my life anymore. They're leaving me. Like, what did I do wrong? And you just start thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking.
Preconceived ideas before literally can, like, set the tone for the entire breakup. Like, if you are super anxious before, it's going to be so much more difficult, I think, for both people, because I feel like when one person's not calm, the other person's not calm, because they're like, well, what's going on? Like, blah, 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 blah. But if you approach it somewhat level-headed, give your time. I feel like in order to be respectful, I will say this, and I'm a firm believer. In order to be respectful during a breakup, you need to give yourself like 3 days, process through what you want to say. That way you're not going off the cuff. You're not saying stuff that doesn't matter, because that is something that happens in breakups a lot. Stuff is brought up, like he said, she said type stuff that doesn't need to be involved. It can literally be super short and sweet. I feel like breakups, like, they become really elaborate. They don't need to be. Give yourself those 2 to 3 days to really narrow down, like, okay, no, this is what I'm going to say. And if you need, I'm totally that person. I need, like, to write down my thoughts in my notes, because I do get kind of nervous and things during those type of situations. And make yourself a little bit of an outline and be like, okay, these are key points that I really want to touch, and like they're not to diss you. Don't diss a person unless they're absolutely horrible, but even then still don't diss them, right? You know, but there's a gentle and respectful way to be like, hey, when you did that, that wasn't okay. So I'm going to let you know that that is part of the reason why, but here's the bigger picture. Let me paint the bigger picture for you so you can understand that right now this isn't going to work. And then also for the other person to understand, not just leave them in the dark. I feel like because then a lot of people jump to assumptions on why you're even doing it, and then it just spirals even more out of control.
And the one thing that I can encourage all of you guys to do, if you are being the deliverer, be honest.
Yeah.
Hiding from the truth and lying is not going to get you anywhere. In fact, it's going to hurt the other person more when the truth surfaces.
Oh, yeah.
Because like I said, all is fine now. In the past, I've been lied to in the middle of a breakup. The reasons I was being broken up with is not the actual reason why I was being broken up with. There was a lot behind the scenes I didn't know.
The truth will always come out one way or another.
It'll always come out.
So just cover your own butt and like just say the truth.
And honestly, from a receiver point of view, I would have rather received the full truth of the story instead of finding out a month or two down the line when I think I'm healed and I think I'm fine, and then I hear what happened.
The real reason.
Then I hear the real reason. Then I hear, oh, this took place. This happened.
It's like the breakup happens all over again.
Exactly. It happens all over again, and you're reliving the emotions to an even more extreme, and it's just so heavy. So if you did something that was out of line, and that's one of the reasons you're breaking up with them,
be honest.
Be honest, because receiving it directly from you instead of lying over and over and over again is not only going to save you pain, but save the receiver, which you're supposedly caring about. Make sure that you are honest, and that comes with respect and honor. And if you truly ever did love that person, you respect and you honor them.
Exactly. And I feel like with that too, even if you start getting thoughts about doing something out of line, that might be a sign that you ain't ready to be in a relationship with somebody. And that's the point where you really need to be like, okay,
we're done.
I cannot, and that's not on you, but it's on me. And then I feel like another thing as well during breakups as the receiver person and as the, I want to say breakup-y, but that's, I don't know how to like say it, the deliverer. Don't take false responsibility. I feel like in breakups as well, and correct me if you disagree, but I would assume to say that majority of breakups, people get so uncomfortable with the conversation that they just say sorry for everything, even stuff that isn't their fault. And stuff that the receiver is not at fault for. They'll be like, well, I'm sorry, I'll work on this, I'll work on that. And it's like, hold on, no, like you don't need to apologize. You did nothing wrong. It's just not working.
Right.
And that's okay. It's not anyone's fault. It's not working. It's just not working. And then as the deliverer, don't take that false responsibility of, oh, I'm breaking her heart, I'm doing this, I need to be over empathetic. It's like, no, you're being honest with yourself and you're being honest with them. At the end of the day is going to help both the receivee and the deliverer to move on with your life and actually be happier and grow from it. Like, it's really a good learning experience, and the fact that you're not dragging it on is going to show your maturity, and it's going to show and hopefully the receiver will be respectful and understand where you're coming from and respect your decision and not make sound like crazy elaborate story and everything like that.
That also comes with, if you're the receiver, and how do I word this the right way? Okay. If you are the receiver and you know it's not the full truth, it's a lot easier to react. I will say that firsthand. If you know this isn't the whole story, this isn't the real reason you're breaking up with me, and you just want them to finally admit the truth, you start going in circles. And honestly, I'm going to tell you ladies, at that point, if you think he did something and you have evidence of it, honestly, it happened. It's not going to change. The best you can do for yourself is be like, okay, I'm done. I'm letting you go. I need to move on. I'm taking myself out of the equation. Because if you insert yourself back into the equation, it's going to add up to something you don't want.
What? Well, and then like my question is like to people who do stay in relationships like that, in toxic relationships, because I feel like at that point it's a very toxic relationship, is why would you want to stay with someone that you're not happy with, that you're just looking for approval from, when they're not seeking approval from you, obviously, by the way that they're acting and everything like that, rather than being happy and secure and independent by yourself.
Right.
And being able to create a life where you're confident by yourself, for yourself,
right.
You know, everything like that's a whole nother soapbox that I could go on.
It just goes back to check your priorities and make sure you honor and respect them.
Yeah.
That's that.
I think that's very, very true. So our next question is how to deal with the heartbreak. And I want to say specifically, when you're in the same friend groups, because personally, a couple of my ex-boyfriends, they were very tight knit in my like friend groups, and like we're all cool now, like whatever, like it's fine. But at the beginning, it was very awkward.
It's like I see you everywhere I go. How do I like break down every time I see you? Because let's be honest, you go through a breakup, you see that person in public, and you freeze.
You're just like,
You're like, this is awkward. Or I'm from a very small town, so whenever I broke up with my ex, it's like I went to Target and I would see like his sister, or I would go somewhere else, I would see his parents, and I would go somewhere else and see everyone. And I'm like, I love them so much, but I need to just like hibernate in my room.
Oh my God.
Because it's a reminder of the breakup. So I guess when it comes down to being in the same group, being in a small town like that, the best way to navigate that, in my opinion, is make sure that that breakup is between you and that person and not you and that family, because that family still cares about you. I mean, if you were close with the family, right? Because most people are, especially if it's a long-term relationship. You were close with the family. That doesn't mean that relationship has to go away.
Don't reflect your feelings and emotions for an individual, for a whole group.
Yeah. Say that again.
I don't even know how
that
to say
was good.
Don't put on a certain group like the feelings and emotions you have for that person. Don't project that onto a group of their friends or even their family or siblings or whatever.
Because only the individual is responsible for their actions.
No, and they are responsible for the way they react and everything, not everyone else.
That's so good.
And I feel like, you know, depending upon who you're in a relationship with or whatever, or in the group of people, you know, some groups are just weird and they end up taking sides. And personally, I despise that. And I find it very, very silly, because at the end of the day, the breakup is between two people, not two groups of people.
Right.
That otherwise it would be a war, and we're not doing that. That we haven't had one for a while, thank God. Yeah. But I'm just like, you know, with that, you have to have boundaries. So say if it's say you have a group of like 9-10 friends or whatever, and you end up hanging out, and it's, you know, just like 4 of you, and you're in that 4 and the other person's in that 4 as well. Maybe excuse yourself from that, so it's you're never left in a situation where you're one-on-one with them.
Right.
Especially if you don't feel comfortable with that. Now, if you feel comfortable with that, do as you please. But I feel like at the beginning, no one's ever really comfortable.
Right.
And I would also say, again, with the boundaries thing, if you're friends, okay, I'm about to say something that's going to contradict like everything within like Gen Z ever. Don't stalk them. Don't stalk your ex, whether you're the breakup-y or the breakup-er. Please don't. You're just going to find stuff you don't want to find. And a lot of times, even as the breakup-er,
right? Because
I've like...
breakup-er.
the breakup-er.
The
deliverer, whatever. Is, you know, even... they like to stalk who they break up with, and it's like, okay, that person is going through the breakup too. They're probably trying to get over you. They're probably trying to process everything, so they might go hang out with different people. They might go hang out with different guys, different girls, whatever, and that's okay. And don't create drama because of it. Please, for the love of God, do not create drama. And friends of people who are going through breakups, it's not your business to tell them
that's good
what they're doing. It is none of your business, and it's it is literally none of your business to be like, oh, did you see who so-and-so was hanging out with so-and-so last night on a Tuesday while we were all here? Oh my Lord, please stop. We are not in middle school on the playground.
Well, one thing that I've had to learn is even with my friends that are in relationships with people, if I'm already friends with both of them, I'm friends with the guy and I'm friends with the girl, I have two separate relationships. Just because I'm friends with the guy does not mean that his girlfriend needs to know every single thing we talk about. Just because I'm friends with the girl does not mean her boyfriend needs to know every single thing we talk about. Keep those friendships still intimate and separate between the relationship in itself. Because yes, you need to respect, if it is one of your friends that is a girl, you need to respect their boyfriend and you need to acknowledge that that is their boyfriend. You should not be flirting with them. It should be strictly friends, and you should have boundaries in place that are respecting to the girlfriend. But if you were already friends with them before everything took place, there's never been feelings before, make sure you're establishing that that is your own individual friendship with that person. Because otherwise, it very easily can become a huge mess of now she knows everything that I didn't want her to know. I was just confiding in him about it. Or he knows everything that I didn't want him to know. I was just confiding in her about it. And it becomes this triangle of everyone has to know all of my business and blah, 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 blah. And it goes in circles. Keep your relationships between that person and the other person. It's a matter of minding your own business.
Just mind your own business. We talk about it all the time, but just mind your own business.
Okay, so I guess now that we've kind of covered the breakup, the process, receiving, delivering, all that.
All the in-between
All
things
the in-between,
as well.
the actual encounter in itself.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about moving on.
Moving on. There's so many things to talk about with this. I feel like when you're moving on, there is an appropriate way to move on and there's an inappropriate way to move on. For your healing, for
Correct.
your heart. I think a lot of people in the moving on just try to look for a rebound.
Mm-hmm.
And in turn end up hurting a different individual just because you're hurt, because hurt people, right?
Correct.
Don't do that. If you can help it, please don't, because I've been the rebound and it absolutely stinks, because you start thinking, oh wait, they're really into me. Oh wait, like this really might be like something, and then they're like, I miss so and so, and you're just like, bruh.
I'm a filler.
like what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. But I think when you're approaching moving on in a healthy way, we kind of talked about it in our past episodes, but really learning to develop yourself and prepare yourself by yourself. I think it goes back to that whole concept.
I think it's a matter of not letting the breakup consume you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I know, here's how I would put it. That first week within a breakup is hard.
Sucks.
It's really hard. The first day after you wake up and you're like, this, like, you wake up and it's fresh. It hurts. I know. Give yourself a week.
It's okay to cry.
It's okay to cry. It's okay to feel those emotions.
Curl up in your bed.
It's okay to have your friend bring you ice cream and splurge. Shout out to Macy. I love you so much. It's okay to do those things. But also know when you get to a point when you're letting it consume your life and keep you from your goals and aspirations.
Yep, exactly.
So that's why I say, yes,
take us there.
Take a minute, but also make sure that once you are seeing that it's consuming all that you are, you need to get to a point where you're like, actually, no, I need to get up. I need to better myself. I need to focus on myself. And honestly, you just sneezed.
I totally just did huge sneeze.
My favorite, I mean, it's kind of rude, but my favorite thing to say is like, his loss, moving on, let's go.
Well, I think in that it can be taken rude, but
it can
at the
be
same
negative,
time,
but also it gets you encouraged to move forward.
Well, I think at the end of the day, you really can only look out for yourself. And I also his loss, like if they can't take you for who you are, right? If they can't take you for the dreams and aspirations that you want to do, if they can't support you in, let's say your goals or whatever, if they can't do that, then it's their loss, because you're running your own race. And if they can't do that, like, that's on them, right? Like, that's not on you.
Right. Like, also learn from your own personal mistakes within the breakup. If you were in some type of navigation where you hurt the person, okay, take those and learn from it. Take that week really to just look at the picture as a whole.
Accept your responsibility in it.
Yeah.
Whatever side you're on, just really accept the responsibility that you do have, because no matter what side you're on, you have played a part. You do have a part, and you played a part in it. And I think with that, accepting that nobody's perfect in it, right? Accepting that you're dating an imperfect person.
Right.
There's going to be things you disagree with and that they disagree with you.
Right.
And that's okay. And don't let those little things consume you again. But also learning to forgive the person, however they may have hurt you, or even just for the fact of like losing that relationship or that friendship or whatever. Even in friendship breakups, you really have to forgive that person, and it's difficult.
It is.
Let me tell you.
So forgiveness, let's talk about that. Forgiveness is not saying what they did was okay.
No, it's definitely
saying,
not.
I know I have no control over your actions, and if I hold on to this bitterness and anger, I'm going to end up hurting myself.
Unforgiveness is literally like poison.
Unforgiveness makes you numb.
You hold a grudge. It turns into a grudge, and grudges turn into whatever, not whatever. Whenever you see someone that even has a slight tendency, you automatically hold that grudge also for that person.
Yeah.
And it doesn't just become a certain grudge for one person. It becomes just kind of all over the place. And you become really bitter really, really fast.
And I can say that forgiveness in itself, when I learned how to forgive, it just felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulder. Because I think what we go through in breakups is we continue to go in this circle of, I'm so hurt, or they hurt me, or I don't want to forgive them because they did me so wrong. I don't want to release them. They deserve pain. They deserve to be treated the way that they treated me. They deserve all of this, blah, blah, blah. And you go in circles. But honestly, you sitting there hoping that that happens for them is dwelling in it. Mm-hmm. And you can't abide in somebody else's relationship. You can't abide in them. You need to abide in yourself and in your goals, and in what you are dwelling on is what matters. What you are dwelling on is what shapes you. If you're dwelling in that relationship and that person and how they hurt you, your thoughts, feelings, and actions are going to reflect that. Your sadness and depression, anxiety attacks are going to reflect that. If you're dwelling in yourself and abiding and continue to move and grow in yourself, and you're working out and you're continuing to further your education and further your goals and dreams and aspirations, positivity is going to come from that. Determination is going to come from that. All of those aspects that you actually want to develop as a person before you get into a healthy relationship, it matters about where are you dwelling. If you keep dwelling in the past, you're going to miss what is in store for you in the future and in the present.
I think that's so good. That's such a good point. I think also is allowing yourself time to process. A lot of people don't allow for that proper time period, and
then it'll come 3 months later.
And well, yeah, but at the same time, it's okay if you're hurt by it, and validate your emotions, because way too often I do see people kind of go through a breakup and they're just like, well, no one cares about my emotions, no one cares about this. It's like, no, your emotions are valid.
For sure.
110%. It sucks. It's this, it's that, whatever. But at the same time, again, like you said, don't abide, don't dwell. Don't let that become your focus on everything that went wrong. Focus on, okay, these are the opportunities that I have for the future. Wow, okay, let me look at this relationship. These are the things that I've learned. These are the good things. Like, not every relationship is absolutely horrible. There are good and bad. Focus on the good and be like, wow, okay, so these are qualities that were amazing. Now let me look at, what personally for me wasn't okay. Okay, let me see, like, these things kind of annoyed me. These things are actually big deals for me. And use that, take them in, put them in your pocket or whatever, and move on from that and start walking with your head held high. Don't be the person where you're just crying and all of that. I know it takes time to process. Again, allow yourself that time to process, but don't let that become your defining
reference
character point. Your defining character. Like a
Yeah.
lot of people, I feel like you can definitely how do I want to say this? They will let the breakup define them even when they're in a moment with people that are loving them, that are there to support them and everything. They just can't get past like
the one person hurting you.
They can't get past it. So then it reflects bad, and then all the gossip starts, and then it becomes like a nasty breakup after that.
Mm-hmm.
But make sure that you're validating your emotions. Make sure that you're taking that time of really processing through a breakup, and then forgive and move on and start focusing on your goals instead of that time where you were going to be texting or messaging them or whatever. Maybe use that time to read a self-motivation book, or go do something that you haven't been able to do because you were in that relationship. Go do something that's going to boost your spirits. I think that is the biggest advice that I have, is go do things that help you be you and help bring positivity back into your life in the time periods and times, especially in the times where you're feeling really down about it.
Yeah. And I think one of the other major things that I would advise you to do is take the relationship. Yes, experience the emotions. Yes, there's going to be good and bad that comes from it. But at some point, I want you to take those emotions and feelings and set it aside from the reality of what actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we let the emotions and feelings really define our outlook on the whole situation. Mm-hmm. But if you sit back and you say, yeah, I'm sad. Yeah, I'm depressed, whatever. Yeah, I'm angry. If you're like, okay, I am all these things, but this is actually what happened. This is actually what took place. This is actually
fantasy versus reality.
Fantasy versus reality comes with the breakup too. And you have to differentiate the reality of what it is and your feelings and emotions, because so easily we let our feelings and emotions just change who we are, and we let it consume our thoughts, and we let it be an outlook of what we are.
It alters your personality.
It alters your personality, and it slows you down in moving on.
It definitely does. And just to finish up and kind of wrap up with everything, what we're really trying to get across to everyone, and especially during February, because I know it's kind of, again, that time where like a lot of people are getting together and starting like new relationships and everything like that. But it's also a lot of times in time of transition for certain individuals and everything, is don't let it, I'm going to rephrase that. Don't let one little thing take an entire month or year away from you.
That's good.
Don't let one little moment outweigh all the good moments. You can be in a healthy relationship and all of a sudden, like, you know, you're not in it anymore. Don't reflect on it, on all the bad things. Like, okay, be like, no, these are great memories that I have with this person. I'm not with that person anymore. Yeah. And then also, again, this is kind of for me, and then Abigail will kind of go in what like personally for her, because I think this is a more personal one-on-one type episode than a general overview. But don't let one breakup define the rest of the relationships you have and opportunities for relationships you have for the rest of your life. Please don't do that. There are reasons and seasons that come and go, and they're learning time periods for every single person involved. Yeah. And you really have to approach it in a mature way in order to be able to process in a mature way. Like, you really need to, like, you got to put your emotions aside and everything like that, but really look at the benefits of it. Look at like, okay, yeah, this kind of sucks, whatever, but look at all the opportunities you have now. Right. Focus on the positive. Yeah.
And for me personally, I like, speaking for Emily and I, we've both been through pretty nasty breakups. like pretty severe.
Not the tea.
But I can really say that you're going to be okay. Like, if you're going through a breakup right now and you feel like your world is crumbling, I'm telling you, You're going to be okay. I know everyone says it, but everyone has seasons where you may go through a really tough breakup, and it's not easy. I will not lie. It is one of the hardest things because you're having to let go of that person. You're having to let go of that relationship, and you are experiencing pain through letting go.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, just hold on, because
it will be okay.
I look back at that relationship that I was in, and I'm just so thankful. I am so thankful for the experience while it lasted. I'm so thankful for the family that I got so close with. I'm so thankful for all the time I spent with them, because really it helped shape my character and who I am today, because they taught me lessons I didn't learn from other people in my life.
Yeah.
And I just am so beyond grateful for having that experience, and everything in every season you are in is intentional for a reason, whether it is for a learning experience or whether it is for a long-term experience. And take that and take capture of it, because I look back and I still have a relationship with my ex and his parents. Like, I'm still close with them, and I respect them, and I'm thankful that I had the opportunity while I did. But now I'm also learning, okay, there's different attributes that I need to look for in a husband. There's different things that I need to evaluate. Okay, what did I not appreciate, and what do I want in the future? And there's different places also as well where I'm having to realize, okay, this is where I failed to meet the standard that I was expecting for him to meet.
You gotta learn from your mistakes. Yeah.
I think it's just, we put so much on breakups, and there's so much pressure on it, and we listen to the Olivia Rodrigo album, and we go on repeat, and we say he's a heartbreaker, all this stuff, blah 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 blah. I'm not gonna lie, I did that, but I mean, what you put in is how you are going to act from it. If you're dwelling and listening to those songs over and over and over, of course you're going to get in your feelings. Of course you're going to feel the pressure. Of course you're going to, because the people are literally in the same spot that you're in. But say I go put on a song and I go to the beach and I'm listening to Sweet Caroline or something, driving down the road, I'm going to be in more of a happy mood. You know, what you put in is what is being brought out of you.
Yep. I think that's such a good point. And just to kind of wrap up all of FeBABEuary. This is crazy. This is the last episode. Like,
February literally ended so fast.
So fast.
Did we really have 4 episodes on relationships?
I really don't think so. But anyways,
here we are.
Here we are on the 4th one. But I hope that you guys, during honestly this whole entire series, it has been a learning curve for us personally. We're both still walking through things. We're both still
walking through relationship
like we're both learning and everything like that. But I think try to hear what we're trying to say through all of these things. Try to hear our hearts in it, and also, you know, approach in every situation that we have talked about over all of FeBABEuary, approach it with a mature mentality. If you approach it with a mature mentality and you take it in with a mature mentality, you will react with a mature mentality.
That's good.
And I think that's kind of, if we can sum up all of FeBABEuary in probably like one quote, like that would be it. Because with relationships, it is 2 people, so both of you need to be mature in it, in whatever season it is. And we're just so happy that we were able to share a little bit of the knowledges and experiences that we've personally walked through. Obviously, we're not perfect. We're still like learning. We're still young. We're still, 20s and like teens. Like, it's crazy. That's crazy. Like, it's so whack. But at the same time, like, really hear our hearts in this. This isn't us like being like, we have all the answers, we're psychologists and we're no.
This is just from personal experience. I think if I were to say one thing from the month of FeBABEuary, it would be preparation requires perseverance, and that perseverance is going to prohibit pressures within the relationship.
That's good.
Because while you're preparing, you have to be consistent, and you have to be really acknowledging of the fact that this is not only going to affect you, but the future person you are with. And it's so important to persevere in preparing. And then also, as far as pressures in a relationship, if you're already prepared and you get into that relationship, the pressures, they're off because you're focused on yourself.
Yep.
You're still focused on,
you got your own boundaries.
Yes,
you know what
you got your own boundaries. You know what's going on. So stay tuned.
We cannot wait, guys. March freaking madness. It's gonna be crazy.
We have an awesome lineup. So basically, going into a little detail, March Madness, we're going to have guest stars throughout the whole entire month.
Yeah, it's going to be really, 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 really cool.
Some influencers.
We can't wait to keep you guys updated. So stay tuned on all of our social media. Maybe even get some of y'all on here. Stay tuned. It'll be super, super good. So we can't wait to see you guys next Wednesday in March. Like,
this month is
what? Like, that's not okay.
We've had a podcast for 2 months.
What? That's crazy.
Okay. All right, babes. We'll see you
next Wednesday.
Bye, babes.
Bye.